Yo, what's going on YouTube, and welcome to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy Kevin Forte, and we are taking a look. We are wrapping things up with the preview predictions for the division realignment. We're going to finish things off on the West Coast in the Pacific/West Division. We're going to be taking a look at my predictions for the 2021 West Division in this video. If you like what we're doing here at Goal Line Hockey, want to see the latest news around the NHL, you guys know what to do. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and a subscribe down below, and let's take a look at the West Division. So just like the Central Division, the West Division is going to look quite different. We have the California teams in there. We have some of those Western teams, but we also have some teams from the Central Division that may actually be moving over to the West Coast just to play their games this year, to the dismay of the fan bases. That's unfortunately what we're probably going to see, and they may be winners or losers in this postseason because of it. We're going to be looking at that here. But before we do, guys, want to give a quick plug to our Instagram and Twitter handles at goalline_hockey. The links to that will be in the description down below, as well as playing throughout this very video. And make sure to check out our Patreon for a weekly podcast every Thursday night, latest news around the league, and more importantly, we answer your guys' questions from the YouTube comment section. So if you're interested in your comment being heard on the podcast, make sure to leave some comments throughout these videos if you are watching throughout the series. That's another quick plug. Guys, check out our other previews and predictions. We've talked about the 3 other teams already at this point. I've been making videos for the past 2 hours. My eyes are basically popping out of my head, but I'm doing it for you guys and obviously trying to grow the channel, so we are going to grind and get through this, and I appreciate your guys' support. Over 700 subscribers, absolutely amazing. But let's get right into the video. West Division previews and predictions. We're going to start things off looking on the West Coast. In the Pacific, would be the California teams, because spoiler alert, they make up most of the bottom. At number 8 is the San Jose Sharks. The Sharks are going to struggle very mightily this season. I think this will be the end of the era there for Doug Murray there in San Jose. I think this is the straw that's going to break the camel's back this season, and I think, unfortunately for Doug Wilson, this will be his last year in San Jose. I think this is the year where they completely fall off. Adding Devan Dubnyk and having a goaltending tandem of Dubnyk and what's his name? The goaltender, I forgot his name. Apologize for that, guys. Martin Jones, that's not going to work. That's not a good goaltending tandem. It's not going to get you into the postseason, and I don't see their forward group as being all that great. Their defense is overrated, even with guys like Brent Burns and Erik Karlsson and Vlasic. They just look like overpaid dummies out there right now. I hate to say it. I respect those guys very much, but they look like pine lines out there right now, and they're injured a lot. This could be a really, really detrimentally tough season once again for the San Jose Sharks. At number 7, on a little bit of a lighter note, is the Los Angeles Kings. Hey, they aren't going to be the worst team in the division, and even in California, so they could laugh at the San Jose Sharks and their misery. But at least the LA Kings have a plan. Luc Robitaille has done a very good job of building the roster out there in LA, and I think they're on the right path. Now, a lot of their young guys are still playing in the World Juniors and in Canada in the CHL or whatever leagues they're playing in, but the future looks bright for the LA Kings. And despite that, though, the roster this season looks considerably slow, and I don't know about their goaltending once again. Cal Peterson is the savior in between the pipes, dare I say, but that sounds like a long shot right now, and I don't know how this team's going to look when you've got a top line of Kopitar, Brown, and Alex Iafallo. Yikes, I'm not a fan of that. So I think that's going to hurt them, and the depth is just not there yet. I think guys like Carl Grunstrom will continue to develop, and Trevor Moore, but they're still so young, and I think it's going to hurt them this year. At number 6, we have the Arizona Coyotes. Yes, maybe some of you are surprised they're not in the postseason. They are not in the postseason. I think losing Taylor Hall really hurt them. I think they're better than these 2 other teams because of the coaching staff. I really like Rick Tocchet. I think he's a good head coach for the Arizona Coyotes, despite all the stuff that's been going on with this Coyotes team. You know, he's been through it all, and I think the coaching staff overall, Phil Housley, former head coach of the Buffalo Sabres, he's a good assistant down there, and I think they have the pieces. If they could stay healthy, they could be a decent team. The goaltending's all right, but because of the way this division is, I think it's going to be tough for Arizona to compete. I think it's going to be a problem for them this year. And that's why at number 5, I actually have the Anaheim Ducks ahead of the Arizona Coyotes. I know, shocking. I think the Anaheim Ducks, we're going to start to see the emergence of the young guys, as we're going to see that young line of potentially Max Jones, Sam Steele, and Maxime Comtois. I think we're going to see those guys develop this year. Max Jones, I think those are the guys we're going to see this year for the Ducks, and they could just miss the postseason. I think they're going to be close, and I think but them and the Arizona Coyotes are going to be fighting it out just to try and sneak into the postseason. I think they will both miss, but I think Bob Murray has done a very good job with this team. I don't like Kevin Shattenkirk's contract overall, but I think he's going to be a good defenseman this year at the very least for the Ducks. And they obviously still have guys like Cam Fowler, Elias Lindholm, Josh Manson. They still have good defensemen. It's just getting the right pieces together, and that's going to be the real issue for the Ducks. They have a good goaltender in John Gibson. He's going to keep them in games, and that's why I think they could just miss the postseason this year. So that means we got the playoff teams, the 4 playoff teams. We're going to start off at number 4. The St. Louis Blues. I think the St. Louis Blues are due for a regression season this year. And actually, one of you in the comment section during our podcast last week mentioned, do you think the Blues will have to start the rebuild? I think based off of this West Division, they will be able to hold out the window a little bit longer. And bringing in Torrey Krug to replace Alex Pietrangelo, yes, it is not the same player. We are not talking about the same player here, but he is a good player, and I think that's a good thing for the St. Louis Blues. They're able to keep that window slightly open for a little bit longer, and I think they make the postseason this year because of the weakness of this division. At number 3, this is one just like in my other video where I talked about the Blue Jackets making the playoffs, guys. At number 3, I have the Minnesota Wild. Bill Guerin and the Wild, the state of hockey, will get into the postseason this year. Maybe not with all the fans. Hopefully by the summertime next year, we will see fans in attendance. That would be great, but we'll have to wait and see. I think the Wild get into the postseason this year. I think he made some really good moves. I like what he's done to this roster. Are they a super dog? No. This is an underdog team here, a dark horse. But I really like what we've seen, and they really benefit from this division realignment. I think they would have done well, honestly, in the Central Division as well, but they do even better in the Pacific Division, mashing up with them, which is quite interesting. So I think this is good for the Minnesota Wild. The only issue with the Wild is goaltending. Will Cam Talbot be good enough for them to get in the postseason? Will the Coyotes or even the Ducks get in the postseason because Cam Talbot just is not a good starter? That is my one question with the Minnesota Wild. But you look up front, Kirill Kaprizov, Marcus Johansson, and Kevin Fiala, not a bad line. Jordan Greenway, Joel Eriksson-Ek, and Zach Parise. That's pretty good. You're going to see Nico Sturm come into the lineup, which is exciting. You still have one of the best top 4 defensive cores in the league, and Ryan Suter, Jared Spurgeon, Jonas Brodin, and Matt Dumba. That's a pretty solid group. But like I said, Cam Talbot being the starter, that is my one concern with the Minnesota Wild. That's why I couldn't have them any further up. That means at number 2, this is going to be where the division, you're going to have the top 2 teams and everybody else. At number 2 is the Vegas Golden Knights. The Vegas Golden Knights make the postseason. They're second in this West Division. The Vegas Golden Knights have a good team. You added Alex Pietrangelo. You've got guys coming in with that Vegas fever like Pietrangelo. You know, what we've seen over the past couple seasons with Max Pacioretty, Mark Stone, Robin Lehner. These guys all want to go to Vegas, baby, and they want to win a Stanley Cup. And Kelly McCrimmon is doing everything in his power to get this team to that glory land of winning a Stanley Cup. They're going to be a really competitive team this year. They have one of the best goaltending tandems in the NHL. Honestly, they could be number 1. You can make a real argument from the other guys where I'm wearing their jersey. They have a better goaltending than those guys. So you could even argue Vegas will win this division. I could definitely agree with that argument for sure. But I have them at number 2 here. And that's why at number 1, I have the Colorado Avalanche. Guys, they are too good. They're too good up front. They're too good on the blue line. They've got the right pieces. And I think what they did in the offseason may not have been the flashy moves like Taylor Hall or an Alex Pietrangelo, but they've added guys that fit the system and are going to work better for Joe Sakic. And what we've seen is Joe Sakic is able to add players that make the team better. And that's really what, you put guys in guys in a spot where they can succeed. And you look at that top six: Mikko Rantanen, Nathan MacKinnon, Gabriel Landeskog, Brandon Saad, Nazem Kadri, and Andre Burakovsky. And that's a really solid top six. Not to mention your blue line: Samuel Girard, Eric Johnson, Devin Tays, Cal McCarr, Ryan Graves. Those are all very talented players. And I don't see why they can't do some damage this year. The only issue for this team is Pavel Francouz as the backup goaltender. And if Philip Grubauer cannot stay healthy this offseason, everybody going into the playoffs was saying, yeah, Colorado has addressed the need. They need a goaltender this offseason. Well, they ended up not doing anything with the goaltending except signing Pavel Francouz to an extension. So we're going to have to wait and see what the Avs do in between the pipes. That is their one concern. That may be their kryptonite, and that's a real big one. And especially with a team like Vegas, if it comes down to Vegas and Colorado in that Western Conference final, if not even sooner, that could be the kryptonite for the Colorado Avalanche, is in between the pipes. So, recap. Guys, at number 8, we have the San Jose Sharks. Number 7, we've got the Los Angeles Kings. At number 6, we've got the Arizona Coyotes. Number 5 is the Anaheim Ducks. All the California teams will miss the postseason this year. Yes. At number 4, we have the St. Louis Blues. The Minnesota Blues. At number 4, we have the St. Louis Blues. At number 3 is the Minnesota Wild. Probably shocking many of you. At number 2 is the Vegas Golden Knights. And at number 1 is the Colorado Avalanche. So guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree with me on my thoughts for what we could potentially see here in the West Division? Now, also remember a factor here. We are going to likely see the Minnesota Wild and the St. Louis Blues play in the western side of the country for the entire season. That way they are not traveling to Vegas and all these teams all the time. They are going to probably stay in a building out in California, or more likely Vegas. I would not be surprised if Vegas is their hub city for the St. Louis Blues and the Minnesota Wild. That way the travel costs are much lower. Now, the problem is they aren't going to see their families, or it's going to be much more difficult and things like that. And there's a lot more distractions going on. That could be a factor for Minnesota and St. Louis. That could be an edge for maybe a team like Anaheim or Arizona, or even the LA Kings, potentially making the playoffs if those teams cannot adjust well. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And if you like what we're doing here at Goal Line Hockey, want to see the latest news around the NHL, you guys know what to do. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and a subscribe down below. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.